Chafing Armor Podcast, Episode 1. Remember, Orcish jazz hands are canon. Welcome to the Chafing Armor Podcast, your podcast that scratches the itch for Dungeons & Dragons podcasting. I'm your host and lovable Dungeon Master, Michael Corley. With me today is Dare. Dare, please tell everyone who you are playing.
Hey y'all, I'm Dare, and I am playing a gnome cleric named Tix Birchmanson, who has basically run away from his village to explore the larger world.
Thank you very much. And James, please tell everyone who you are playing.
Hello there, I'm James. I am playing Penton Chalice, who is a spell scale sorcerer. He is living a life of poverty and traveling the world, doing good for others.
Fantastic. And Izzy, please tell everyone who you are and who you are playing.
Hello, I'm Izzy, the Dungeon Master's daughter, and I will be playing Morezi McGraw, the half-orc barbarian who was raised by her orcish family and is taking up the family business of being a barbarian.
Fantastic. And finally, Lee, tell everyone who you are playing.
G'day, I'm Lee. I am playing Osokai, a shifter ranger who is left home forcibly and is now hunting down his arch-rival responsible for the decimation of his tribe.
Fantastic. Thank you all for joining us. Let us begin. Morezi, you awaken in pain. You awaken on a battlefield. You are slowly piecing back together what has happened. You don't know where your half-brother is. You don't know if he's still alive. All you know for certain is that ahead of you is the royal procession. It has been knocked over. There are dead bodies everywhere. You don't see the princess, but what you do see is a gnome. You see a gnome who is about to have his throat slit by two bedraggled goblins. Morezi, what are you going to do?
I am going to approach the goblins to see if this gnome is worth saving.
All right, well, you have seconds. They are about to slit his throat.
I will run toward them, and I am assuming that these goblins mean harm to me as well. And so I believe that I will prepare myself for fighting. Do I have my weapon on me?
You did wake up with your halberd next to you. You are injured. I'll get into that more in a moment. But you do have your basic armor and weapon with you. The goblins look up when they see you and snarl. I'd like you to roll a 20-sided dice and add any intelligence bonus that you may have.
Okay. I got an 11 with no bonus.
Okay. You do not know a lot about goblins. You generally stay away from them. You do know that they are known to be scavengers after a battlefield. You think that's what's happening here, is that they are scavenging after the battle, that they were not actually part of it. You don't remember them being part of the battle itself. And they are about to kill this gnome. Are you going to stop them, or are you going to let him die?
I think that I'll stop them. Usually I would let him die. I feel like this gnome knows something.
He is laying on the royal procession the various carts and things that would have held the princess and her retinue, so he may have answers for you. If you're going to try to stop them, you need to tell me what action you're going to take.
I will probably try to injure the goblins, if not just kill them, to rescue this weird gnome.
You come towards them, and they snarl and attack you with long, wicked-looking, extremely rusty knives. And I need you to roll for initiative, and I also need Osokai. I'm going to eventually say that right. Osokai, I would also like you to roll for initiative.
I have rolled a 16.
And Osokai, what did you get?
7.
All right. You, Morezi, have gotten initiative first.
I am going to swing my halberd at the nearest goblin.
All right. Roll your 20-sided dice and add your bonus to attack with your halberd.
All right. 22, including the hit bonus of 5, so 17. I think that's the right math.
I believe that's going to hit, so go ahead and roll your damage as well.
All right, 10-sided die. I only got a 3.
And what is your bonus?
The 3 is the entire bonus. I rolled a 0.
You can't
Or
roll a
does that mean I
0.
don't
No,
get
that means you rolled a 10. On a 10-sided dice, you can't roll a 0, so the 0 means you rolled a 10.
Oh, I hit 13 then.
Yes. So what happens is you bring your halberd down and literally split his skull in half. He instantly dies and crumples to the ground with a wet thump. The second goblin is going to respond in kind and try to kill you. And he rolls a 13 total. What is your armor class?
17.
All right. He fails utterly. He does strike you, but your, I believe, chainmail that you're wearing turns away the blade. Now, you are aware of something out of your peripheral vision. Something huge is barreling down just beside you. You thought that it was going to hit you, but instead it flies right past you and slams towards the final goblin. Osokai, I would like you to tell us how you roll to attack and tell us your roll.
Okay, Osokai barrels towards the goblin. I rolled a 19 to hit.
All right, and roll your damage, please.
Osokai strikes out with his bare hands, covered in his weighted gauntlets, and does 3 damage.
All right, I'm going to say that because of the nature of your attack and your run, you knock him to the ground, but you do not kill him. You knock the breath out of him and slam him into the ground. Now, at this point, this is when Tix regains consciousness and begins to come to himself. You see a hulking, huge bear-like figure bearing down on a goblin. The last thing you remember was a goblin striking you in the back of the head. Tix, what are you going to do?
As I gather my wits, I am going to get up and move towards the fight and see what's going on. Noticing, I'm sure, the now 2-part goblin that's been split in half, and going to see if I can help with my battle axe, which is the chosen weapon of my god, Garl Glittergold. Am I close enough to take a swing at the goblin?
As he was laying on top of you moments before, you most certainly are.
I'm going to swing at him. Okay, I've got a 19, and I've got a modifier of 3.
That most certainly hits. Please roll your damage.
1d6. So not a huge amount. But it's a 6.
That is going to do it. As he is picking himself up, you come from the side and bury your axe into his leather armor in his midsection. He sputters, spits out black blood, and falls to the ground dead. Now, there was
That's satisfying.
It's very satisfying, in fact. There was a moment, Osokai, where you were returning from the front lines. You had been sent to scout, and that's when you realized that there had been a terrible misunderstanding, a terrible underestimation of the enemy. And you realized that the princess was in terrible danger. You had turned to come back and had found yourself trapped in a massive bear trap. And you literally, instead of getting yourself free, you ripped it out of the ground. And it is still buried deep in your right thigh. It kind of hurts, But as you look around, you see that the princess is missing. You do vaguely recognize Tix. He was part of the outer retinue of the princess. But you do not know who this half-orc was. In fact, what you were doing is you were coming to kill this half-orc because you thought she was part of the enemy. But when you saw her attack the goblins, you shifted your attack towards the goblins. Would anyone like to say anything at this moment?
Rather suspicious of the people around her. Although she decided to be generous and come to the aid of the gnome, that was only because she believes that he might know something that she does not.
All right.
I appreciate you all coming to my rescue, and I was wondering if I might heal your leg if you can pry that bear trap off of you.
Now, this is, I'm not going to make removal of headgear or anything like that at the moment, but just an FYI, Morezi, you recognize that bear trap and you know how to disable it.
Okay. Well, is there anything that I would need to roll to do so?
Yes, you would just need to make a 20-sided roll, and I will give you a +4 because you understand that trap intimately.
This
All
is
right.
assuming Osokai lets you get close enough.
Good point. I ask Osokai if I could take a look at the bear trap because I may be able to disable it.
Osokai distrust.
Well, big guy, if you want to get healed up, you might have to trust her, and then I can heal you.
Don't trust you either.
I think I'll start doing a voice for Morezi. Well, you can just suffer in quiet then.
At this moment, Tix, you get a transmission in your brain. This is not normal, by the way. You get a transmission in your brain, and it is coming from someone you know. It is coming from someone named Penton. You are getting a transmission from a sorcerer who you know to have been part of the princess's retinue. And he was much more closely connected than you. And he is calling for help. This is not something that you're aware that he is able to do. But he is calling for help, and he is telling you that he is inside a nearby cave that the goblins are holed up in, as it were.
It's always a cave.
Well, after I get over being completely startled and not peeing my pants by having somebody talk inside my head, I think I will look around for this goblin cave as quickly as I can, do a quick scan of the scenery and see if I can pick up a trail.
Okay.
Do I need to roll for knowledge? Or
I just made a roll for you, and you do pick out a cave in the distance. It is not hard to pick out because the whole reason that all of you are here is because this is the place of the epic battle of the century. Not of the century, of the millennia. And the good guys lost. The good guys lost badly. And you are at the foot of the Cloven Mountains that legend has were split in half by the god Set himself 5,000 years ago. And it was here that the prophecy was to be fulfilled. And it kind of wasn't. Things went terribly wrong. And everything that the hopes and dreams of the good people of this kingdom have been utterly shattered. However...
So, am I a good guy? Was I fighting alongside these people? Because I don't feel like I did.
You did not fight with them. However, you also did not fight with the enemy. The enemy was, the main force of the enemy were full-blooded orcs, including your brother, who you were trying to find.
So I was against my brother.
Well, you were trying to get him to not be in the battle, because the prophecy said that the evil would be destroyed, and that included your brother. However, that did not happen. The good team, the good guys, the knights and the princess and everything were utterly and completely defeated, and the battlefield is now littered with the corpses of knights and wizards and men and elves and gnomes and dwarfs, litter for miles around below the Cloven Mountains. But you do see that cave. Also, Penton was one of the last people, Tix, that you had seen near the princess.
And that seems like a good place to start. So I turn to my erstwhile companions that have just helped rescue me. Say, I've got to rescue my partners and possibly the princess. And I bet there's more gold and goblins over in that cave if you all want to get rid of some of your enemies or would like to help me out. I would appreciate it.
I will do it for the gold.
And you, big berry guy, what are you thinking about?
I, of course, will let you make your decision, Osokai, but I will remind you that you literally ran across a battlefield, ignoring and tearing out a bear trap to get back to this place in order to rescue the princess.
So we don't know, the rest of us don't know that he got this message in his head. Turn around and go, we need to go that way. So to me,
that is correct.
To me, I don't trust that. I just don't. That doesn't. Why would I believe him when he says we need to go that way, out of nowhere? So fiddles with the bear trap on his leg, and just grunts.
Understandable. Osokai, could you make a perception check for me with any modifiers that you have?
Perception is intelligence, yes. So
that is correct.
It is a 16.
All right. You look in the direction that this gnome wants to take you, and you notice something very, very important, and that is a torn section of the royal dress that the princess was wearing. It is a dark purple, very rare because that color is extremely expensive. No one else would have been wearing that except for her.
I'm going to turn around and start heading towards the cave. I'm little, so it's not hard to keep up with me.
I will continue with Tix and probably start to get ahead of him, both because I have longer legs and because I feel like I should be in the lead.
Yes, you easily overtake little Tix, as I believe you're 6.5 feet tall.
Yes.
And I'm 3'7". I'm half his height.
Herb, yes.
Her height.
So finally, Osokai, you do not have to go with them, but I want to know what do you decide to do?
Osokai looks at the bear trap on his leg, and looks at the gnome, and looks at the half orc, and then stands up and hobbles off towards the cave.
The ragtag group. By the way, now I'm going to make it official. All of you are at half your normal hit points. So look at your hit points. You have half that. You have all literally just been through a battle. For simplicity's sake, you are all still in possession of your spells and things like that, just for simplicity's sake. But you have all just been through a terrible battle, and it's actually a miracle that you're all alive.
Round down or up?
Round up. You make your way to the cave, and you can see in the distance there is one goblin who is clearly supposed to be guarding the cave. However, he is extremely busy rooting through a small pile of what you would consider to be trash. It is really gross stuff that's been picked off the battlefield. However, he is going through it as if it is a treasure trove. He does not notice any of you at all. What are y'all going to do?
I would like to take him by surprise. I have realized that goblins are basically just obviously an enemy to me, so I will not take the chance of talking to him. May I roll for initiative, or?
You do not need to roll for initiative. You will have advantage on him. He does not notice you at all. So if you want to attack, you can.
All right. Roll for the hitting thing. Yes.
Absolutely.
13.
That will hit. Roll for your damage, please.
4.
Okay. Your halberd comes swinging around and bites into his shoulder. He screams, but he does not die. He is fumbling to try to pull his long knife out of his satchel. I'll let whoever wants to act next act.
Would you like to go, Tix?
I'm coming up behind, so I don't know where the Osokai, the big hairy guy, is yet. I assume he's probably keeping pace with me since he's injured. If I'm close enough, I will take a swing at the goblin also.
All right, go ahead and give that a roll.
I got a 17.
That will definitely hit a goblin who's wearing leather armor. Roll your damage.
Just one.
You also injure him, but he is. You basically slam him back into the wall. He's now got his knife free. Osokai, you still have a chance to move before the goblin if you so choose.
Osokai is going to attempt to grab the goblin by the throat and lift him into the air.
Go ahead and roll for that.
With my grapple modifier, that is a 17.
Excellent. You lift him right up into the air, and he's gurgling with spatters of his blood from both of the attacks falling onto the ground. You have literally suspended him in the air, and he is both angry and, more importantly, terrified.
Osokai growls, pulling him closer to his face. Princess, where?
He says, Pretty is inside. Pretty is inside. No kill, in an extremely broken basic or common.
I want to... Alright, I am going to try to sense motive. That is an 18.
He is not lying. He is terrified. He is expecting to die, and he is telling you the absolute truth as far as you can tell.
Osokai looks to his companions and then looks back at the goblin.
It'd be best to send him on to his maker.
Put him out of his misery.
Having just been through the battle, I'm not into forgiving him.
Osokai is going to attempt to choke him to death.
In this particular circumstance, you don't even need to roll. You just simply tighten your grip, and you hear the sound of celery being crunched. And this goblin, who was almost dead anyway, crumples in your hands as you let him fall to the ground.
I was going to have Osokai throw him down there.
Go for it.
Osokai throws the battered corpse down the path the way we came.
He is small, and you get a good chuck, and he tumbles down the pathway amidst the various bits and pieces. As y'all have come in, you realize that this area is covered with crap. There is bits of armor. There's broken weapons. You do see like a few copper pieces on the ground, but nothing of real value. And as you get closer to the cave, it is just covered with every imaginable scrap of item that you can think of.
Having heard the goblin's last words, I'm going to use my innate ability and speak with a burrowing animal and see if I can get the layout of the cave and where the princess is at.
Okay, and I don't think you have to roll to do that, do you?
No.
Okay. You center
I just get to do it once a day.
You center yourself, and nearby, a extremely talkative shrew pokes its head out of the ground. What do you want to know?
How many branches in the cave are there? How many rooms? And where the non-smelly princess is?
The shrew tells you, "Oh, I know exactly who you're talking about. He's all the way in the back. It's the one that smells good? Absolutely. I know which one you're talking about. They got him all the way in the back, and I got to tell you, buddy, it doesn't look good for him. It looks like they got plans, if you know what I mean. They got plans for him. He's all the way to the back. You can't miss it. There's some side tunnels, but forget about them. They mostly use them as toilets."
Well, can he direct us to the best way, quickest way with the least amount of goblins through there?
Well, the goblins, there's mainly out, collecting all the knicky-knacks and whatnot out in the where all the humans do all the killing and stuff. So there ain't that many in there, but the ones that there's ones that got the good smelling one, and they're about to. I don't know. It doesn't look good. I got to tell you. I took a peek in there earlier, and it does not look good. I got to tell you.
I believe it was Tix who just spoke with the shrew.
Yes, and just so y'all know, you cannot understand this at all. You just hear Tix making a few random little tick-tick noises and the shrew responding excitedly. Clearly from the New York part of fantasy world.
I'm going to approach Tix and ask him in my weird low voice exactly what he just said and what we need to do.
And so as soon as she approaches me, I'll go ahead and explain what I asked the shrew for and about the layout of the cave. The side tunnels are toilets. The clean-smelling person is at the back of the cave, and that the person that spoke inside my head through magic or the princess is back there, and that we probably should make all due haste.
All right.
Now, do any of you not have low vision? Because I believe the gnome and the half-orc do, but Osakai, do you have any vision enhancements?
Osakai does not.
You may have a little trouble farther in, but you can see torchlight in the distance in the cave.
Oh, wait. Yes, I do. Sorry, I do. I have low light vision.
Gotcha. Well, there are definitely torches, though they are very intermittent and they are not well made, so it's not very well lit. But there is some artificial lighting down in the cave.
So low light vision doubles the effective radius of light sources. Bright light, I think, 30 feet, and dull light, 60 feet. We double those, so we can see essentially bright light for 60 feet, and then dim light for 90 feet or 120 feet. I can't quite remember.
120. Well, I am going to go right ahead towards in the general direction of the torches in hopes that will lead me to the back of the cave. I make a small motion for the others to follow me, but I'm not incredibly concerned about their direction.
Okay, and Tix and Osakai?
I'll follow along behind the half-orc and sling my axe and get out my crossbow.
Gotcha.
While I'm walking.
Osakai wants to check if the cave has anything funky about it.
All right, give that a roll.
I got 12.
So you can't tell anything major about this cave, but what you can tell is you're almost certain that goblins did not make it. That it was made either by some kind of natural animal or that it's a naturally occurring cave. From what you have seen in the past, not that you've been in too many goblin caves, is they are maze-like, and this one is not that. It is a relatively simple maze. The other thing that it doesn't take a roll is that it is horribly, the smell is disgusting. And I think probably more so you than anyone else. This is just the worst. This is the worst smell you have ever smelled.
So I have knowledge geography. Will that apply to this particular region?
Absolutely. And in fact, one of the reasons that you were part of the advanced group was that you had knowledge of this region, and your job was essentially just to scout ahead and make sure that everything was as it should be. And you found out, unfortunately too late, that they had just vastly underestimated the opposing army. And through incredible effort, you had just barely been able to get back, but unfortunately, it was too late.
So during my scouting process, I would have probably come across this cave before?
That is correct, though you have not been inside.
Okay, so I won't roll my knowledge geography. I will tentatively follow behind Tix.
All right, well,
Morezi hide behind the gnome.
Yes. Morezi makes her way in first, then definitely much shorter and behind is Tix. Limping behind is Osakai, making your way down the cave. It is not hard to follow the main cave structure. It is also very easy for you to stay away from the side tunnels. The other thing that I really want to impress upon you, when we imagine caves, you imagine these bare cut walls and stalactites, things like this. Imagine every available space in this cave filled with garbage. Not just like refuse, though there is a lot of that. And there is, feces, and you can tell that these walls have been well urinated. but just every scrap of thing that these scavengers could have collected is packed into these, and there's in fact only a relatively narrow path in the center that you can tell they've literally just kicked things out of the way.
As I'm walking, I keep scanning for weapons or anything of significance.
Gotcha. You certainly could search this, and you could find things, but it would take a great deal of time.
Right.
And you would definitely need a good light source to bring up, and it would take hours upon hours. But you certainly can keep a cursory glance, and I'll have y'all roll for that later if you wish. But the one thing that you hear, all of you hear, is you hear the sound that is very familiar to all of you, and that is the sound of two knives being slicked together. Shh, 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 shh. You hear that sound towards the end of the tunnel.
Morezi picks up her pace to make sure that she does not arrive at the back of the cave too late.
As soon as she starts running, I shadow behind her.
You begin hurrying down. I assume, Osokai, you try to keep up with them, though it is difficult. You are still quite functional, but you do have a big bear trap in your leg. You make your way to the end of the cave, or towards the end, and it widens out into a vaguely sort of semicircle, larger area. It's extremely smoky from all of the badly made torches. And towards the end, and again, I must impress upon you, it's just stuffed with garbage. It is just filled with every imaginable piece of crap that you can think of is stuffed into every corner of this cave. But towards the end, literally made out of piles of scrap armor and leather, is a makeshift throne. And on it is a slightly larger goblin sitting. He's also got an extremely rusty crown that's apparently made out of two pieces of a breastplate that have been badly welded together. And below him, you see three goblins. They have someone tied down, and they look like they are getting ready to skin this individual. You recognize these knives, particularly Osokai and Morezi from your days out in the wild. You know exactly what is about to happen. They are literally about to skin this person alive. And you also understand why. His skin is the most amazing, brilliant, glittering scales that you have ever seen. And it is clear that they are planning on making themselves a very unpleasant coat from this individual.
Morezi is going to angrily power walk over to the people who are about to skin this man or woman and hopefully try to stop them.
I should mention, by the way, that his arms and legs are tied to a vague sort of post that's holding him up.
Okay, kind of like, wooden stakes, tied to stakes.
I level my crossbow at the Goblin King and take a shot.
Excellent. Okay, I'm going to let you get that shot off, and then I'm going to have everybody roll for initiative. So go ahead and make your roll.
I rolled a 2.
Well, it is very dark in here, so you fire, and the truth is, while you are quite skilled with your crossbow, you are hardly a expert. And in this darkness, in these circumstances, in the smoke, it goes wide and clatters off the side of the misshapen throne, and he turns and screeches at all of you in Goblin. I don't think any of you speak Goblin, but his intentions are pretty clear. The other three turn and look back at you. And let's go ahead and roll for initiative.
I have rolled a 7.
I got a 13.
And what did Osokai get?
Osokai got an 18.
Ooh, good.
All right. And I would also like for a roll for our very patient final member, and that is Penton. If you would also make a roll and let us know what that is.
Sure, I was wondering whether I was unconscious or not. I got myself a 7.
All right. Well, I'm going to put that below Morezi since she is mobile. But actually, the one of the goblins gets to go first, despite Osokai's high roll. And one of the goblins who is nearest to you charges, and he attacks Morezi, who is closest. And he gets a 19, which I believe beats your armor.
Yes, it does.
And he does 2 points of damage. What does that put you at health-wise now?
4.
That is not good, so just be aware that's where you are at health. But you have just been through a battle.
Cleric?
I am a cleric.
Yes.
Well, I know that I am not at my action right now, but I'm pretty sure speaking doesn't count at that. I look over at Tix and say, "Can you heal?"
I can't.
Okay, let's continue the order of the action.
I believe that it is Osokai's turn.
So my intimidate roll did nothing?
Oh, I apologize. I did not hear that. You're trying to intimidate? Oh, I'm sorry. I thought that was your initiative roll.
No, I tried to intimidate with the 18.
Gotcha. I will allow that to cow the other one of the other two, and he temporarily backs off. But that's only for one turn that he is intimidated. So he does not attack. But now the other one does. And he is also attacking Morezi, but he gets a 9. So even though he is swinging wildly, you are easily able to fend off his long knife with your much longer halberd. And now that puts it at Tix's turn. Tix, it is your turn.
All right. So having seen that the half-orc is wounded badly, I am going to do my best to run up to her and cast Cure Light Wounds.
All right, and roll for those.
All right, and so I score a 13 on the casting of the spell.
Excellent. And I don't know if you need to roll to succeed on healing. I think that just automatically...
It's a touch.
I think it's just because it's a touch. Yeah, I think you automatically succeed. You just need to roll for how much you heal for.
Okay, so it's a D8 plus 1. So a total of 3.
I am back at 7 health then.
Well, you definitely feel better, though you're still extremely battered, and you definitely feel your wounds knitting together at the touch of this small gnome.
I smile a crooked, sharp-toothed smile at the gnome.
Oh, don't do that. That's scary.
Intimidate check, yes. All right, and I'm going to say that it is Osokai's turn.
Okay, so who is closest to me, since I brought up the rear?
There is technically the one who is closest to you would be the one closest to Morezi. He's about 10 feet away from you. There's also 2 others. One stumbled backwards at your intimidate, and the other one is still close to Penton.
Okay, and the one closest to Penton is how far away?
He's about 20 feet away.
Okay, I'm going to have to go for the one from Morezi, somewhat half speed. I'm going to attack the one attacking Morezi.
All right, go for it.
I got a 24.
I believe that's going to hit. These guys are wearing leather armor.
Roll to hit, and that is a 6.
That is going to be just enough. Is this with your bare-weighted glove hands? All right, you literally grab him and slam him into the ground, and you hear his skull make a sickening thud as it hits the ground, and he does not move again. Now, Penton, you are completely tied up, but you've regained consciousness.
That is correct. Okay.
But
I did want to ask him, am I at half damage like everyone else?
Yes, you are.
That puts me at a whopping 1.
Yes, you are rather fragile. However, not only have you been through a battle, but you were one of the last defenders standing when the princess was actually taken by the opposing horde. And you did everything in your power to save her, but you couldn't. And at the last second, she did the only thing that she could. She gave you the Rod of Chafing. And the Rod of Chafing was the entire reason you were all here. It was the thing that was going to end all of this forever. Only she could use it. But as she was going to be taken, she couldn't let that happen, and she gave it to you. and then you were immediately captured by these horrible goblins. And because you were weak from the battle, you weren't able to stop them, and they knocked you unconscious. It's actually the only reason that you're alive right now is because they wanted to keep you alive to skin you. One, because they wanted to preserve the skin. Two, they enjoy skinning people alive.
And who doesn't?
Oh, really? I mean, really, who doesn't? So if you want to try to make a roll to free yourself, or if you think there's something you could do magically.
Actually, I've got a 2 skill in escape artist. Yes. So if you want to establish a DC for that, I can roll against it, or I can just make a roll and you can tell me whether it fails or not.
Just go ahead and make that roll.
I rolled with my modifier a 17 on that.
That is definitely going to succeed. And you found that your right hand, they did a slightly inexpert job tying you down. The other ones are fairly good, but you were able to slip your right hand out of that. And I'm going to allow you to do one other action this round if you want to do something.
All right, that would probably be free my other hand.
That is a very good choice. They are also not pairing. They are also not paying a great deal of attention to you. Morezi, I believe it is your turn.
Okay. That goblin that hit me earlier is dead, right?
The closest one, yes.
Then I think I'll go after the new closest alive goblin.
All right, go for it.
If you feel like going after the one that's right next to me, I wouldn't mind.
Yeah, I think I'll go for the goblin that is currently attacking Dare.
You roll a 9 to attack. Okay, that is not going to do it. He notices you coming, and he basically skips out of the way. These goblins are small and fast, and he skips right out of the way. So I'm going to have that goblin is going to spin around, and he is going to attack you. And with an 12, that is not going to succeed. He tries to stab at you with his boning knife, his skinning knife, and he does not succeed. So I'm going to bring it back around, and I'm going to say that it is Dare's turn. I'm sorry, Tix's turn.
Morezi sticks her tongue out at the goblin.
So I'm going to see about casting Bane on the nearest target. Let's see.
There is one that is slightly closer to you, and one that is slightly closer to, that's still close to Penton.
All right, Bane fills your enemies with fear and doubt. Each affected creature takes a -1 penalty on attack rolls, and -1 penalty on saving throws.
And are they able to save against that?
Will negated by will. No.
Okay, so I think they have to make a will saving throw in order to negate it. All right. You pray to your god. Say his name one more time for me.
Garl Glittergold.
You pray to Glittergold, and you see shapes moving around. Think about the first Indiana Jones movie, whirling around the goblins, filling them and whispering doubts into their ears. And it is, I'm going to say, the goblin's turn. And one goblin is going to try to attack you. He does not succeed his will save, so he is filled with doubt. And what is the minus again because of that?
-1 on attack rolls.
And he most certainly fails. It's almost like something has been whispering into his ear that his mother never loved him. Now there is. I'm messing with the order a little bit, but I'm doing it for reasons. I'm going to say that Penton, it is your turn, and there is a goblin near you with a skinning knife.
Okay, that one's currently dealing with the barbarian, correct?
The other one is dealing with the barbarian and with Tix, but this one, there's one very close to you that no one is dealing with currently.
Okay, well, let's do something about I am going to cast a magic missile in his way now that my hands are free. That does not bear any kind of save or anything of that nature. It's D4 plus 1. However, since in the beginning of the day I did my blood quickening meditation to Bahamut, the king of the good dragons, it's going to deal an additional 2d6 damage. I can do that 3 times a day while I'm on this meditation. So that's going to be a bonus damage to this particular creature. So let me roll that up here. I feel like this is going to hurt. 8. It's not messing around with this dude.
That is one powerful magic missile.
It was a total of 13 points of damage. I rolled a 4 on my d4.
Gotcha. So you come up. This guy has literally been slicing these things together. He is turned back and thinking to himself that he'll just slit your throat real fast and at least get that over with. He turns back and finds that you're staring at him face to face. You open up your fingers and light, pure energy of light, and to the other people watching, they swear they can see the ghost image of the dragon that you've been meditating on around you as these leap out from your hand and embed themselves in his skull. He screams, and his eye sockets and mouths just fill with light as his head cooks in an instant, and he falls to the ground dead. That leaves one more, and I believe it's Osokai's turn. Okay. Osokai, what are you going to do?
What's the go with the Goblin King? Is he still around, or have we killed him, or?
He hasn't been part of this battle, and in fact, you find that when you turn to look at him, you see that he is reaching behind him and pulling something out. You are horrified to see that it is the rod of Chafing, the mystic object, the most sacred object of this kingdom, and it is broken in half. And the idea of that is sickening to anyone who sees it. The most sacred object of this land. And he is beginning to gesture with it. There is also still one of the goblins remaining below.
All right, Osugai is going to turn his attention to the king. He is going to drop down and shift, becoming more bestial, and he is going to attack the Goblin King without mercy.
All right, what do you roll?
20!
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
Oh, yeah.
Do you want to play this mission rules?
I'm going to just simply do it with double damage because I think that's easier and more fun. I know that's not technically, I think, 3.5.
Yeah, no, I'm totally okay with that. I didn't really like confirming crits anyway.
Yeah, I think it's boring.
So Osugai is going to attack with his claws, which have unsheathed. So that is... all right, so it's double damage. So that is 1d4. I think I get 2 attacks. No, not yet. I'm going to get 1 attack back. And that is a 4, making it double damage, 8 damage to the king.
Okay. So, I had all of these really cool things that were about to happen, but that natural 20 has altered things slightly in that Osokai turns towards the king. You all, kind of in slow motion, look over and realize what he's holding, that he's holding one of the most powerful magical items in creation, supposedly made by a god. And even though it has been torn in half, it is radiating magical energy. And he is starting to gesture with it. Osokai falls to the ground and begins lumbering towards him, almost like a bear, swipes at him, and you hear the most sickening tendon snapping sound, and the goblin's head just comes clean off. It just comes clean off and smacks into the garbage pile and falls into a pile of poo. The final goblin turns to run. Does anyone want to try to stop him or do anything?
Morezi is too shocked because although she's seen lots of horrible battles, this took her by surprise, and she is too shocked to pursue the goblin.
I try and take a shot with my crossbow.
Okay, make that roll.
10.
That is going to hit because he is at many different disadvantages because he's turned his back on you and he's fleeing the battle.
Right. 1d6. 3 damage.
He falls to the ground and he is dying. He is not yet dead.
Well, will continue. I'll drop my crossbow and pull out my axe and walk over and plant it in the back of his head.
There is no more goblins in this cave. There is, however, an incredibly powerful magical item. The last person to hold this was Penton. However, Penton, the last time you had it, it was whole.
Morrissey is going to walk up to Penton and start to ask him questions about who he is.
And I cannot stress this enough, that Penton, whether or not you find him attractive or not, that is, of course, up to each individual player, but he is one of the most beautiful creatures y'all have ever seen. Now, Tix, you have seen him before.
Pretty.
He is so pretty. He's a pretty man. But his scales and the way he moves, he's literally the best qualities of both a dragon and a human, all wrapped into one. So it is somewhat arresting to see him, especially glimmering in this firelight.
Not to mention I'm buck naked.
Oh.
No. Well, no.
I was about to be skinned.
No, he is butt naked. Yeah, I'm gonna go with that. I'm gonna. That's canon. You said it. It's canon. He's butt naked. He was about to be skinned alive.
Morrissey is, although she does not find him attractive, she's more into orcish things. She is having trouble only making eye contact with this man.
Penton, does this bother you at all that you are just skivers, just skinnying?
I'm kind of oblivious right now, because I'm oblivious, and also because tears are welling up looking at the broken rod of power that once belonged to the princess I was sworn to protect.
I look around the throne and see if I can find his normal robes that they had to have stripped off of him.
You do, in fact, a cursory glance, you can tell, and again, Tix, you have met Penton. Y'all weren't like best buds or anything, but you knew him, and certainly he was, kind of hard to miss. You do easily see his robes that were cast aside. Fortunately, they are not too covered in either urine or feces.
Put some clothes on, boy. You ain't that
Is there any urine or feces on that?
Right. That right now. I remember that my feet are still tied and untie myself.
Osakai waits for the gnome to move away from the throne.
And I collect my crossbow and put it away, and my axe from out of the goblin's head, and clean it off on his back and put it away, and start using my spot ability, my skill, and searching the room for anything else that we might need to find the princess.
All right. After I get myself together, untie myself, and get dressed, I reverently walk up and pick up the broken pieces of the rod.
Okay. The moment you touch the rod, you did, of course, notice before. You really only had the rod for maybe a few minutes, but you could tell that even before you touched it, before the battle, you could feel the magical energy radiating from this rod. And when you touch it now, a bolt of electricity goes through you. Not unpleasant, but just raw, undiluted magical power. And you wonder if anyone else had done this, if they would have survived. And that your natural spellcasting ability and your natural physiology, you don't know if anyone else would have survived doing this.
Then how did the goblin guy?
Well, something really bad was about to happen to him. But he lost his head before that could happen.
Sorry.
That's all right. I like that better. Also, as soon as you do, straight out of the original Star Wars, a projection of the princess comes out.
Obi-Wan Kenobi, you're my only hope.
Exactly. A little more magical and a little less sci-fi, but a projection of her comes out. And she says, Penton, I was hoping that you would find this before it's too late. I am recording this in the seconds before I give you the rod. It has cost me dearly to do this. The rod has been shattered. I know that this will happen, and I cannot prevent it. The rod is the key to stopping what is to come. Your only hope is to find the witch woman of the lowlands. You know the one that I mean. Your only hope is to find her. She was the one who revealed the location of the rod, and she's the only one who may be able to find a way to stop all of this, or it's going to be too late. By the way, all of you can see this. This isn't just Penton, but she's talking to Penton, but now she turns and she faces all of you one by one, and she says, Osokai, thank you for coming back. It was more than I deserve. I need your help. They will all die horribly without you. She turns to you, Morezi, and she says, You of two worlds, I need you to know your brother is still alive. I also need you to know this entire land will be destroyed without your help. And she turns to Tix and she says, Your God has sent you on a very important mission. I cannot tell you how important it is. You must help these people succeed, and you must complete your mission. This has cost me dearly. And now you realize she's glowing. She's got all this projection and everything. She's aging right in front of you. You're not exactly sure how much she's aged. She was maybe 16 years old, but she's older now. And she says, This has cost me dearly, but I need you to know, find the witch woman of the lowlands. You are my only hope. And she turns as if to talk to one more person, and she lets out like a little gasp, and she goes, No, there was supposed to be one more. Oh no. And she turns back to Penton. She gives you one more penetrating glare, and she says, Please don't give up on me. And then it's gone. And the rod is still radiating magical energy, but it is simmered down to a acceptable level, as you might say, and the cave falls silent.
It clatters to the floor as I let it go.
All right.
Unmentioned because the dungeon master did not pause, whereas he does jazz hands, finding out that her brother is alive.
It is a way of your people to do jazz hands at good news.
Yes, this is good now.
Osokai sniffs, rumbles a bit, and walks out of the cave.
All right. And I think that's where we're going to end our first episode. That's our first episode, everyone. Thank you so much.
Yay!
We did it.
We all survived.
Jazz hands.
Remember, it is now canon that the way of the orc people to express gratitude and happiness is jazz hands.
Yes.
Very good job, everyone. I want to thank everybody again, Izzy, James, Dare, and Lee, for getting on and starting this first episode. We have a lot more to come, so please keep listening. And when you need to scratch that itch for your Dungeons & Dragons podcasts, then please check out the Chafing Armor podcast. Want to see more from Michael and the gang? Go to chafingarmor.com.